You remember that Soundgarden track, Rusty Cage? That first riff, gritty, heavy, confident, not fast, but relentless. That's the vibe the Bear 650 gives you off-road. Not flashy, but it pulls.
Yeah, mate, you don't need speed when you're facing loose gravel, steep ruts, or that one slippery bastard of a rock. You need torque. Grippy, steady, low-end torque.
And that's today's thump. On the common thump, we're asking, does the Royal Enfield Bear 650 have enough off-road punch? That 648cc parallel twin, does it deliver when things get rough?
Because let's be real, on paper 52 Nm sounds decent, but at 235 kilos, that torque better be working overtime.
We'll break it down. Crawl speed climbs, slow speed drops, trail feedback, and whether this twin can power through without leaving you stranded with arm pump and regret.
And it's not just about power, it's how it comes in. Early, controlled, or like a kick in the face.
Stick around. This one's for the trail rats and gravel junkies. Bear style. Alright, let's start where every trail ride starts. The bottom. First and second gear, throttle just cracked open. Climbing loose rocks or crawling through slush.
This is where most bikes either impress or throw tantrums. And honestly, the Bear 650, if it keeps that classic 648cc twin tuning, it's got plenty of grunt right from 2000 RPM.
Exactly. You don't need to rev it to the sky. Even at low revs, it gives that clean surge. No lag, no stuttering. Just enough to keep you moving forward.
And that's the big win here. No drama. You don't need a heavy clutch hand or a twitchy throttle. Just twist and it pulls. That's what you want when you're halfway up a rocky incline and can't afford a stall.
I rode the Interceptor on trails once. Bone stock. And even that gave me confidence. Now imagine the Bear with maybe altered gearing or sprockets for trail bias. That's low speed control on another level.
If they've tuned it for slightly shorter ratios, it's going to be even easier to modulate throttle and keep moving. No bogging, no feathering the clutch till your fingers scream.
This is where Aadi's decision to not make it too snappy pays off. You don't want sudden torque off-road. You want it to feel like a bulldozer in first, steady and planted.
It's not wheelie happy, it's not trying to toss you, it's just calm, linear muscle, and honestly, that's the dream for trail riders who aren't looking to win enduro races.
So yeah, off the line, in low gears, this twin motor gives you exactly what you need. Not too much, not too little.
The rocky
just
start.
the right kind
Now
of
you're in second or third gear. Trail opens up a bit, maybe some gravel, maybe loose dirt with patchy traction. This is where the mid-range matters. Yeah, mate, and that's where the Bear 650's torque curve really shines. Between 2500 and 5000 RPM, this engine is just relaxed, strong but relaxed. You're not shifting every 5 seconds.
Exactly. You can hold a gear longer, even if the terrain throws you some uneven gradient. And because that BHP doesn't spike hard, there's no sudden lurch, just progressive power that keeps the rear tire planted.
I love that feeling, man, when the bike just tractors through without you having to fight it. The Bear doesn't feel eager to buck you off. It wants to stay upright with you.
Also helps that the motor's not buzzy. Throttle modulation is super intuitive. You can make small corrections without throwing the balance off.
And let's not forget the weight actually helps here. That 240 kg curb weight sounds heavy, yeah? But on flowing trails, it gives you traction and stability, not floppiness.
Yeah, you're not skipping over bumps like a 250 dirt bike. You're rolling through them with momentum. There's a difference. And it feels more confident than chaotic.
It's almost like the bike says, relax, I got this. And you just focus on picking your line, not surviving the ride.
That's what sets a good ADV apart. Power that doesn't overpower you, and a motor that says, let's go slow and far, not the elephant in the forest. Wait, the Bear 650 is no feather. At 235 to 245 kilos, depending on fuel and add-ons, it's a proper chunk of machine.
True, mate. But the surprising thing is, it doesn't feel like a pig when you're moving. That low-end torque we talked about, it helps mask that mass in motion.
Yeah, I've felt it even on the Interceptor. Once the bike is rolling, you don't notice the weight unless you suddenly stop on a slope or try a U-turn in loose gravel.
And Aadi's smart with rider triangle on the Bear. Upright bars, wide stance, and a slightly forward lean. It lets you stand and balance when needed without fighting the bike.
Exactly. You're not hunched over. You're in command. And even when you need to dab a foot or correct your line, the bike doesn't feel top heavy.
Of course, you still have to be smart. You're not flicking this thing around like a dirt tracker. But as long as you ride within the bike's rhythm, it flows.
And honestly, that weight brings an upside too, stability. On off-camber slopes or wet surfaces, it plants itself better than a lighter bike that bounces around.
Totally. And with the right tire setup, maybe something like the Metzeler Karoo Steed or even a Timson 704, you'll get that balance between grip and control.
So don't let the numbers scare you. The Bear's weight is real, sure, but it's predictable, not intimidating once you're rolling. And with that torque always there to back you up, you're not fighting.
Does the Bear 650 feel punchy off-road? Not in a wild sideways slide kind of way, but in a planted pull you through the muck kind of way? 100%.
Yeah, mate. It's not trying to impress you with wheel spin. It's trying to get you to the top without making a scene. That's real off-road confidence.
And honestly, that's the kind of torque I trust. Low end that doesn't panic, mid-range that keeps pulling, weight that stays grounded. That's what makes a proper ADV.
And you don't need to be a Dakar rider to feel it. Even on casual trails, you know the Bear's got your back, as long as you don't go picking fights with boulders.
Speaking of boulders, I remember this one trail near Munnar. Rocky ascent, loose dirt, no grip. I had one boot down, half throttle, and this guy on a KTM was revving like a blender stuck on pulse.
Oh no.
Yeah bro, he stalled twice, overheated then bailed. Meanwhile, I kept the Bear in second, feathered it through and just cruised past with my GoPro dangling. Didn't even look heroic, just steady. That's what this bike does best. Gets the job done without the drama. You feel like you're in control the whole way. So, if you're chasing off-road speed, look elsewhere. But if you want predictable, planted, torque-rich tail performance, the Bear 650 doesn't just handle it, it owns it.
This was Man, Machine, Garage, where we ride slow when it matters, fast when it's earned, and always with a full thermos of chai.
Till next time, keep your clutch light, your torque low, and your heart ready for the next bend.